1000 BC. What image just came to mind? David and Goliath? Ancient Egypt? Or perhaps nothing because you didn't pay attention in history class. The Great Sequoia is the largest living tree in the world and ranges in age from 2 to over 3,000 years old. Don't you find it hard to believe that these trees have been around since before Christ? My dad and I took a trip to Sequoia National Park to experience the splendor of these silent yet awe-inspiring patriarchs of the forest. Some of their diameters reached up to 40 feet, and each of them had burn scars. Now, I wouldn't be so audacious then to explain this to you, so I brought illustrations, which I'll pass around, what some of these scars look like. Some of these scars were small, and some of these scars were large enough to camp inside. Each tree told a story of life, tragedy, and growth. As the tree hugger I am, I stepped inside one of these scars, and I was surrounded by the burnt bark. I didn't expect to well up with tears. It was almost like the tree was whispering to me, "Kimberly, do you see my scar? I never hide it, and I'm still growing to this day." As I took in the smell of rich wood and tried to ignore the gnats swarming around my face, I was challenged. Have I hidden behind tragedy in my life? Have I allowed my scars to stop me from growing? Almost. Have you? When I moved to Vegas, I was living the dream. Even though I had no furniture, slept on the floor for 6 months, and went to food banks for food, I didn't care. I was living in Las Vegas. Until March 30th, 2015, which changed my life forever. I was by myself at the jacuzzi in my apartment complex when I was joined by 2 young guys. They seemed nice, great neighbors. We chatted for a while. I remember they offered me a glass of orange juice, which I happily gulped down. Vitamin C, right? My next memory was 12 hours later. I woke up in my empty apartment complex with rug burns I couldn't explain, scratches all over my body, my private areas hurt, and my clothes and valuables were gone. I had been drugged, raped, and robbed. I spent the day with police, CSI, and in the hospital, unsuccessfully trying to recall details from the night before. After a battery of needles and exams, I begged the rape crisis unit to pay for a taxi to get me home. When I got there, I borrowed a friend's phone and called my dad. "Dad, I was raped." Him and my sister immediately boarded a plane in Philadelphia to be with me. The next week was a blur, trying to replace IDs, credit cards, laptops, phone, as well as try and find a new place to live. But we managed to get it done. My family returned home, and I to work, and that's when the reality of what happened sunk in. Luckily, even then, I realized I had 2 choices. I could, 1, become a victim of my circumstances for the rest of my life, or 2, I could face my healing head on and commit to doing whatever it took to transform me from victim to victor. I chose the latter. I didn't know how painful this path would be. My nickname Sunshine no longer applied. My world lost light and color and turned dark. I started experiencing debilitating panic attacks, which left me unable to breathe, and I was deathly afraid of being alone and around men. For the second time in my life, I found myself clutching to Peanut as my life preserver. I hated these faceless men who did this to me. I felt that they not only stole my belongings, but they stole my soul and robbed me of my joy. Every night I would get down on my knees and beg, God, please, I just want to be the old me who loved life. Rather, I was a woman who lost the will to live and could barely get out of bed in the morning. I was ready to throw in the towel. But I was doing everything right. I started seeing a counselor. I was taking boot camp. I utilized my support network. And I even went on antidepressants. Why did it feel like I was making no progress, even going backwards? A little voice inside me reminded me of the promise I made to myself. And I kept pushing. Inch by inch, I crept out from behind this scar and forgave those two men. Light and color slowly returned to my life landscape, and new growth sprouted. When face to face with the sequoia 15 months later, I was reminded of how far I've come. And I thanked God for answering my prayer and giving me the strength to keep growing. What tragedy has left you scarred? Have you become a victim and allowed it to identify you? I challenge you. Come out from behind your scars and keep growing. Scarred by divorce? Keep growing. Disability? Keep growing. Bankruptcy? Failure? Keep growing. No matter what your scar, keep growing. Your scar is an illustration of your growth and strength. So stand tall as the victor you are, and allow your scar to attract others who are experiencing similar, so that they too can be inspired to keep growing. As the great sequoia showed me, the greater the scar, the more beautiful and strong you are, as long as you wear it proud and keep growing.